maybe let's move to at least brainstorming solutions a little bit. Just try to cheer me up a little bit.
Yeah, because it starts again, because this is like a bit of a history lesson, because you can't understand what the problem is without understanding how we got here. So the history is important of it. And you can also find a lot of misinformation about this history on the internet. So essentially, it's not very easy to even figure this part out, what really happened. But so when this sort of started happening, then the governments and the intelligence agencies would have the impulse to control. And also bad actors like just criminals and scammers and like among the general public. That's like another faction of the bad actors. Like, let's be honest, it's also among the people. But it's not a huge percentage to start with among the people. Again, those would be like the 10% outliers who just want to be like use whatever they can means to enrich themselves. So it would be hackers and scammers and like these essentially criminals, essentially just criminals. So you have intelligence agencies, criminals, governments doing all kinds of bad things on the internet, with most people just being oblivious and just believing what's there and not really doing anything other with it than just I believe what I see. Without questioning it. And then some small percentage of like critical questioning people, but that are trying to somehow solve the situation and end this mess. But okay, so you have all these people just flooding it and trying to control it, and then their attempts at trying to control it, creating or exacerbating some of the negative aspects of what's going on there. Like if you create a social medium, then you create an echo chamber where if a negative information or misinformation spreads there, then you're guaranteed that majority of people on that social network will believe it as fact, more so than they would if it was just somewhere on the internet and not in their social network. If it's in their social network, it's worse because they will believe it more. So what they try to do is like, let's use technology to solve our way out of it. Because that's always the approach. Let's never try to improve our character. Let's never try to like actually help the society or community to become better. No. We need like a magic thing, like a magic box, and you press a button and the problem is solved. And then you can go to unscrupulous tech people to like give you this magic solution to the problem. Because of course, always this just creates new problems. This is not a solution. What they did this time was that they could create algorithms to try to do something. And essentially what it does is guessing based on content analysis, because that's within my field, the information theory, let's say, or media and communication theory is more precise, because information theory has physical implications. But it's related, it doesn't matter. So in media and communication theory, you only have content analysis. That's the only automatable mechanical approach to communications that you can employ technologically to address the issue. And what you can do is that you have content, you can code it as words or letters or whatever you want, and then you can set various parameters. It could be any kind of parameters, but essentially only parameters of the kind of, this is the data that we have, and do this with the data, and this will filter somehow which data is better data and which data is worse data, or whatever categories you want to slap onto it. So it can try to look for words like, let's say, look for like sexually explicit terms or violent terms or stuff like that. And if like, it finds it, you can say, and so delete or ban the thing where you find the naughty word. So it's like a very basic approach. But then what happens is it misfires all the time spectacularly, because oftentimes people use the word in a context that's vastly different from just the primal, I'm just saying it because I'm angry context. Like, for instance, when you want to talk about it to like improve people's ability to critically question it, you still have to call it using the naughty words. So then you will ban also the people who are trying to actually help. From the internet. This happened, for instance, when like you want to achieve better diversity. So you try to ban some like homophobic words or some sort of sexually related words that are slurs or stuff like that. But then what it did, it misfired, and it also banned the LGBTQ channels and communications, because they also needed to talk about those words. So it also with coronavirus, like essentially at one point, the approach was just like, nobody can talk about coronavirus. So essentially it was flagging all the videos to try to dispel coronavirus myths. Because that's the like sort of other thing you could try to do is just like, there's a topic and the topic is just forbidden. This is like nobody other than like certified source, which is essentially trying to return to decentralized media, can talk about it. But what that then caused is that the people who were then like pushed away, like banned on like YouTube, then what they did is they created their own platform somewhere else. So you sort of push the problem a bit beyond that. Then the solution was like this sort of dumb mechanistic approach was, okay, let's just try to deplatform those people off the internet completely. So let's pick, I don't know, Donald Trump. And just like press a button and it's like delete from internet. And he can't like essentially have a hosted service. So it's like the worst kind of censorship that you can think of. It's like I said, like sewing somebody's mouth shut in the Middle Ages. They literally can't speak. And the thing is like, okay, so you've like deleted that person from the internet, like that decreased their like impact on international communications. Sure. Did the followers of that person disappear?
No,
Did they stop talking?
That almost got stronger in some ways because
so like how do you scale the solution? Do you ban everybody who was their fan and then ban everybody who was their fan? You can't do that. You can just like try to pick an example, but then if you like actually try to follow up on it and everybody who would like transgress somehow, you would just delete them. Like they're still on the planet alive. Like the only thing it would do, you would piss them off and radicalize them further.
Sorry, I was going to say this is similar to the issue with the Taliban, where you just keep on fighting the terrorists, and every terrorist you kill, you get 2 new ones. So
exactly like that.
Yeah.
So in this case, it's just like you get more and more radicals. That's what you're doing. You're radicalizing and polarizing the percentage of the population who, in any sane communication system, would have just been neutral and not a problem and wouldn't care really about any of the negative issues. So just like just to finish the whole picture. So you have this like sort of line of thinking where you're trying to brute force, like to ban or delete something away from the internet, and you're ignoring that you would have to literally, I guess, kill those people to like really remove them, which you can't or shouldn't do. So
shouldn't do that.
At least they didn't think doing that yet. Finally, there's some academic reflection on this whole line of attempting to combat misinformation, and what even academics have to admit at the end of the day. And there's one famous YouTuber, I always forget his name, has like a whole video, essentially a lecture, like a YouTube Google. He worked for YouTube for Google, and like a whole lecture about how you can't find out truth through an algorithm. Just like how it's literally, technically, logically, philosophically and practically impossible to be able to arrive at an algorithm that determines truth, or to effectively censor what you want to censor or control the information how you would actually like it using these methods. And so that's like this whole thing shown to be like, okay, maybe there's some value to AI, to like automating tasks on the way toward achieving the solution, but it's not technologically solvable. It's still the only method that exists today. It's hiring a whole bunch of people, and that whole bunch of people like doing like all day looking at stuff and just trying to judge it.
Somehow fact checking, right? I think you really need to focus on the database of stuff you trust, and have everything kind of be fact checked based on that database to start with.